Notes for Da Vinci Code by Vangie Davis, July 16, 2025. Was talking to my niece about her son who has been diagnosed as on the spectrum or autistic. I don't really know much about autism. I can't really say I know anything about it. But what came to me at the sound of the word was this. All right, it was brought to my attention. Okay, so we here in the first world, Americans are the muse people, the muses, the people in Mu, which also means that we're the artists, Artist. So for one of the artists to be diagnosed as an autistic person, Autist, um, it's basically showing me that this with this autistic so-called disorder is something relative to um, instability between the world programs. So between World 1 and World 4, because the U is in World 4. So basically, when they say that the child is on the spectrum, there's two different real meanings of that. So there's the spectrum from the viewing, the spectrum from the eyes. Um, okay, so the word spectrum is relative to being able the way you see something, and then the hidden um, relation to the word spectrum is space drum, not spectrum. So where the E is in the first word as a A, so spec would be space and drum. So space drum. And so that tells me that this is dealing with the heartbeat of the world, but because it's between the worlds for between worlds 1 and 4, this is like relative to the pulse of the world or the earth. Um, so basically, what I'm getting is that the person that's being diagnosed as autistic has picked up, like they're connected to these pulse sensations or these signals between worlds 1 and 4, and there's an instability, whereas most of us, we have been stabilized in the program to have certain to be have a main place. Like us here in America, we will have the main place would be our American place, but we're also being programmed into third world narrative programming. So this is where we take on African storylines and beliefs. And so the more people destabilize, the more they go into the African storyline. Okay, so when somebody is getting to the point of being autistic, this person is fluctuating signals from world 1 down to world 4. So there's like bouncing from world 1 programming or bouncing between the spaces and getting the signals or the pulses, the drum beats, the sound signals, the light waves and the sound waves between each one of those realms. So it's kind of like if you could think of it in a sense of that movie Quantum Leap, how the guy would jump from one world to another world. Um it's kind of like that. So the person, when they diagnose this child as um autistic, they're basically they're not stable. They're bouncing between the realms or the worlds, between world 1 North America, world 2 South America, world 3 Africa, world 4 Eurasia. So they're like they don't have no type of control in the programming. So basically, the program cannot control them. Something in their energy is like cannot be controlled by the program, or basically the cerebral spinal fluid is just like moving up and down, up and down. It's like just fluctuating through the bridge. So they're picking up on signals or waves of light and sound between each one of those spaces. So between world one and two, between world two and three, between three and four, like that. So like I said, I don't really know much about autism, but this is the information that I'm getting, and I'm trying to translate it right. Um, but yeah, it's like they could be like, whereas we might be getting light and sound waves from the first world, this person that's autistic might be getting light waves from the first world and sound waves from the third world, or sound waves from the first world and light waves from the fourth world. You know what I'm saying? Simultaneously. So it's like they're constantly fluctuating between the spaces between the worlds, or like between Atlas and Axis, and then between the two spaces underneath that, like what they call the transverse process. So it seems to me that if you see, because some people may not see this as a disorder. Um, so I think if somebody is looking at it from the perspective of a disorder, that I would think that in order to fix this or remedy the situation will require some type of stability, um, some type of stabilizing, because like I said, they constantly fluctuating from first world to the fourth world. And the only way to get stability would be eliminating a lot of the third and fourth world program. Because see, what a lot of people don't realize, the third world program is basically the wasteland. And there's ways I can prove this, like um through using the physical body or the anatomy as a way to show that this is accurate. But the third world is um a wasteland, or where you go down from the brain down to down the spine, from the brain down the spine, and then the lower you get down the spine, you get closer to what they call the Atlantis or Atlantois, not Atlantis, Atlantois. And in that area would be um going to into the third world programming. So basically, like I said, that's going into the wasteland or to the areas of the realm of the dead. Okay, so the third world is the realm of the dead, or the place of the second death, the burial place of the second death. The fourth world would be basically the ghost, and the second world would be the transfigured spirit or the living spirit, and the first world would be the living. Okay, so you basically dealing with the person or the child picking up on signals and energy between who they are in the living world, who they are as far as their inner or spirit being, as well as who they become after the spirit realm, which is if they go into the realm of the second death, which is where the dead is, as well as where the ghost of the dead is, which was the fourth world. So the autistic person is traveling between all four of those realms, or those different four different worlds, and they're receiving like the light and sound waves from all four of those places at the same time, or at, really fast. They like fluctuating up and down. So like I said, only way I can try to describe it is like when you think about, there was a movie, now Quantum Leap is the TV show, but there was this movie where this guy, he I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was Leap or Jump. I think it was Jumpers. It's kind of like that. So this autistic person, in their mind, they are jumping from place to place, constantly jumping from place to place. And so the programmers of the false worlds cannot seem to hold them down, to get them to stay stabilized in the program. So really that makes the autistic person potentially some of the most powerful people, if they were able to figure out or master this instability. So it's a negative and a positive at the same time, because as an instability is negative, but as a, a power, I mean, as a type of, like, if they was able to figure out how to, it's like on some level, wherever they are in the true world, they are very powerful, and that's why the programmers cannot stabilize them. So it's like they are already a really powerful person, and it's showing up here as an instability in the brain, because they can't keep them still, because they're constantly fluctuating and jumping, leaping between the realms, you know. So anyway, I got to think more about this. This just came to me, and when I heard the word autistic, and so I didn't have time to really process it, but that's just the first things that came to me. So if you think there's any type of, like I said, I don't know anything about it, the terms, I have never studied or looked into autism, but that's just what I got from it, and I'd be interested to know your thoughts on it, or anybody who deals with autism, you know, does any of that make sense? That's what I'm trying to find out. All right, peace.